All right, so we'll continue on. The last thing we need is to be able to know when these text fields lose focus so that you can modify something on that event. And instead of like the Android, we have to tie this field to a new method, and the only thing we have are outlets and actions. So we already have an outlet for this guy. It goes to the height. So if you click on this little dot, it shows you which one it's tied to. Right? It highlights that's my text height. So I've got my outlets, and that lets me gets the data from it, but I want to know if something happens in that case. So what we need to do is draw a line, right-click, and insert an action. So we're going to add, instead of an outlet, we're going to add an action, and I called it height did end editing. And the event, there's lots of events that we can have happen. Touching, value changed, all kinds of stuff. And so the editing did end would mean that the person finished typing and went to somewhere else. They clicked, so that's like a losing the focus. So we're going to say connect, and that creates a method for us that we can do something with, and we can just say something like height done editing. And then we need one for the weight. We could do another one for the weight. Action, weight did end editing. And it's a text field, I didn't fix that. Editing did end, connect. And notice how I have two of these different now. One is sending any object, which is a generic object, and this one is specifically a UI text field. So I really want the text field here, but can I just do this? Will that work? If I just change that?
It's tied to that field.
It's tied to that field, but as soon as we change anything in this, it seems to lose its connection. It will cause a runtime crash, I believe. Let's check that out. So that's on the height side. So I type in here, and I leave height done. Oh, it didn't do it. And I leave from there.
Didn't see it.
And I didn't have anything in the weight did end editing, so it didn't crash. But what we saw was if I modified something here, this action tended to have a runtime crash. So it was safer to delete that event completely. So if we look at the little circle with the arrow, let's delete that connection between the two and re-establish it. And now it should be sending it as a UI text field. That's just a safer way to do it. All right, and then we can add some print here. Call this weight and run it. And so weight done editing, height done editing. Calculate, everything works good. All right, so that's then what you do in here. You can do any code you want. You have access to all of these fields. You could clear out the other field, however you want the logic to do. And I'll leave that to you guys to figure that out. You guys are smart, because it doesn't make sense in my app. I need both pieces of information. You only need one. Right? So I'm not going to write that code for you. Man, it's cold. All right, any questions on that? We can have any event we want come from pretty much any object on the field here.
I found that if you click on that little ViewController in that left column, the ViewController, the yellow one at the top, it gives you a list on the right of all the connections.
Yes, yes. That was a good find, actually. That's new. So you see all of the outlets for this entire view and what they connect to. And I like that. I think this is far superior than the Android side in that I can connect stuff to code really easily without typing stuff in. If they just made their editor an actual editor, it'd be good. All right, any questions on that? All right, so I want to move on and talk about adding another view to our app and having some way of switching between them. All right, so I played around with this lots of different ways. Since I wrote my apps, they didn't have this, what they call the Storyboard system that came later. So what's nice is we can play around with this and add stuff and drag stuff around, and it works pretty well. So one thing I wanted to talk about first was the entry point into our app. So right now that's designated by this little arrow. That means this is the view that's going to show up first. And if we had multiple views, I could drag this and go to another view, right? Another layout. But I also wanted to show you the launch storyboard. So this is like a launch screen that you see on lots of apps. It shows maybe an about, who we are, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to set this, and we can add some information to this, and this screen will show up first, and then it will launch whoever has the entry point on the main storyboard. So let's play with this a little bit. We can change, have all kinds of fun stuff in here. Here's my mouse. There we go. So, strange. So one thing we could do is we could make the background color different through, if I click on the view itself and then look at the properties, I can change the background to something. So I'm going to make it a light blue. Then we can add labels just like any view. So we can add a label up here, and you can say BMI calculator and log. I'm sorry?
Can you pause for a second? I can't get that screen.
It's over here on the left. It's called launch screen story. Dot story. Board. You don't have one?
No, I do, but it just shows me my BMI calculator. It doesn't give me blank.
It shows what? Just the text?
No, it shows
The XML?
his original view, like the actual beam with the text boxes
Oh.
and the calculate button.
Then maybe you put your stuff on the launch screen instead of the...
Oh yeah.
That's possible. Instead of the main storyboard. So let's change this, make it bigger.
Do you get a blank page when you click on the view control?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you put your stuff on the wrong storyboard.
No, I don't really.
So we can make this multi-line if we click over here to make it go on another line. If I hit return, it's going to go to the next field over here. So I have to hit option return. Nope. I haven't got it. It was on your IBM keyboards, it's Alt-Enter. So that's the command key, Command-Enter. And I can make this multiple lines. But then I have to lines. I have to tell it I have more than one line here with the number, and then I'll want to center it and move it around so it's in the right spot. And then you could put another label like, so this is kind of like an about screen, right? So copyright 2016 Lockersoft LLC. So I can put all kinds of fun stuff here. I can even put an image. I have an image here that I created for myself when Android was letting you create your own little images. So I'm going to drag it over to my project, and this is an animated GIF that's supposed to look like me, I guess. I don't know.
It's pretty close, Dave.
And I want to drag that on the screen. So to do that, we need an image view. So to find all of these, there's a little search button bar at the bottom of this view, and we can type image, and it comes up with image view. So let's drag one of those over here. We'll put that here. And then the properties for this allow us to choose the actual image that I want to display in this little square. So since I added it to my page, I have my Android GIF. So we did that last week with the little scale that I had. So there I have a nice little, isn't that cute? There was a background. Oh, we'll just leave it like that. All right, so now when I have my launch screen created and I run it, it will show my launch screen for a few seconds and then switch over to the calculator. And it's fast. So anyway, I just want to show that. There's got to be a way to make this slow down or to even do some work with this. So I think I'll
Make it delay.
yeah, so I'll figure that out. I don't have that working yet. So, all right, so let's go back to our main storyboard, and we want to add a new controller here. So, my system here. We want to add a ViewController, and if we look at and search for that over here, there is a ViewController object that we can drag. So if we drag this to the storyboard, it gives us a new controller that we can call whatever we want, and we can start adding fields to this one. All right, so it needs a title, and we will call it, come on. My system is not working over here. We will call it, I'm going to call it weight log. And then we can drag stuff on this piece here and fill out this page here. So, but to make it go to there, we need to have some button over here that lets us switch over to the log. So let's add that first. So we need a button on our view controller. So there's a button. So we'll drag a button over here, we'll put it down here. Come on. So this is something I found, it won't let you edit if you're in a blown out view, a zoomed view. So to get back to where we can edit, if you double click on the white space outside, it takes it back to the full size and we can add our features then. So log this data. Call it log this data. Make it bigger. And then we need to show we have to get our code over here. So we'll split the view. How do I create a connection between?
Right click and drag.
Okay. So I need a new action, and this has got to be my view controller. So I need a new action on my view controller that deals with that. We'll put it at the bottom here. So right click, drag. I want an action. We'll call it switch to logger. And it's going to be a button object. Touch up inside and the sender. So we'll say connect.
Wait, that on action.
So that creates a method for me that I can do something in.
Did you give it a sender?
Yes.
Okay. I can see that right
So,
there.
so I'm sorry?
I can see it right there.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, and so when we go from one, they call these scenes, one scene to the next scene, they have what they call a segue. So a segue, spelled S-E-G-U-E, is French for moving between things. You know, here's a segue, some interim place to go through to get to the next scene. So it's a segue. It's not the thing you ride around on.
That's cool.
So, we are going to write inside of this code. There's a method called perform segue. So we call it on the self, which is our object, our controller, and it's called perform segue with identifier. Nice long method. And we give it some identifier, we'll call it switch log. And then the sender is who? Who is sending to the next piece?
But self, right?
Ourself, right? Self. So that's what will get called when we click the button. And then we have to write another method called prepare for segue. And this is what lets us control which controller it's going to go to. So to see that code, it's easier if we go ahead and create now the other view. And we need a controller for this code. So we can have a new file, and it's going to be a Swift file. Swift file, and we'll call it weight log. So this will be our controller code that will attach to that view. And I'm going to copy this code off of here and put it over here. And then we can fill in our controller. Now we need to call this what? What are we going to call this guy?
Log.
Weight log. So it should be the same name as our file. That makes it easier. So weight log. And no, gosh, dang it.